guys, it's Lucy, and today I'm going to be doing a video on my favorite books of 2017. So these are all the books that I read during 2017 that I loved. I recommend each and every one of the books that I talk about in this video. Also, I won't be talking about these books in a ranked order or anything. They're actually in the order that I read them in. So we're starting from the books that I read in January to the books that I read last in I don't think any of these are from December, but November and October. Without further ado, let's get on to the books. First we have The Mothers by Britt Bennett. It's mainly about one girl named Nadia whose mother commits suicide, and she's left to kind of deal with that, and then really soon afterwards she ends up getting pregnant, and she's dealing with the grief over the loss of her mother and also this unwanted pregnancy. She's a teenage girl and she doesn't know what to do. So it kind of starts off from there, and then the book follows her and two other people who get entwined in her life over the course of their lives into adulthood. Also, another important aspect is that it is told in a third-person omniscient perspective, is what I think it's called, where basically the narrators are the mothers of the church, which are basically the older women who go to the church in this community. And a large part of this story is the largely Black community. A lot of the activities around in this community are based off of what goes on in the church. Everyone goes to this church. I love the writing style, and the choice of the narrator was something really new for me, and I really thought it was done well, and it really made the story that much better. The characters are all characters that you can really feel for, even though you know that the decisions that they're making are bad and you hate them for it. You know why they're making them, and they feel so real, and you just feel all the things for them all the time. Also, like I mentioned, the fact that this book takes place in a predominantly Black neighborhood is not something I've read a lot, and probably not something that you've read a lot. So I think that added perspective really adds a lot to the story. And I just loved reading every minute of it. I couldn't put it down. Every time I picked it up, I didn't want to put it down, and it was just such a good read. Next we have The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This is a story about an undocumented Jamaican immigrant girl named Natasha who's getting deported on this day that the book takes place, and then she randomly meets this second-generation Korean American boy, and it's about this friendship and more that they form over the course of one day, and it's just such a beautiful story. It covers something that's definitely not covered as much in YA literature, which is being an undocumented immigrant. Also, the differences that can happen when you are the child of immigrants and the expectations that your parents can have and things like that. And so I thought that was super well done. It also brings forward the idea that you really don't know the impact you have on other people, and people who just seem like background characters in your life really are their own people and have their own things going on, and you do affect them. And so I thought that was also really well done, and it just had such a good time reading this. It was still a fun, lighthearted read while managing to cover those serious topics, and I really enjoyed that. I turned the light on in my room. Sorry if the lighting is now yellow, but it was too dark. But yeah, now to the next book, Shiny Broken Pieces by Sona Charapotra and Daniel Clayton. This is the next book in the Tiny Pretty Things duology, also the last book. I actually did a whole video on why you should read the duology, so I'm not gonna go too deep into what I loved about it. Basically, this is the second book in a duology that was better than the first, which I find does not happen often. If you like catty drama but with a deeper side to things, and I think you'll enjoy this as well. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts, I'll leave that video linked down below and somewhere on the screen. Always and Forever, Lara Jean by Jenny Han. This is the third book in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy. It used to be a duology. This was probably the most surprising book on this list because, like I said, this trilogy was meant to be a duology, and Jenny Han only added this after she finished the two books and the series was done, and then she decided to add on this third book. So I was really not about it because I was the first two books were perfect two halves of a whole, and I really loved those, but this one I was there isn't any more that can be said, and boy was I wrong. I loved this. It was so nice to see Lara Jean again. I loved her as a character. I know a lot of people thought she was whiny and blah blah blah, and she was, but I don't know, she felt like a real teenager. In this book, Lara Jean just grew so much as a person, and you could really see how she grew over the series, and everything just had a great ending, and it was honestly a perfect sweet ending that I loved. Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sainz. I feel like I'm saying his name wrong all the time. This is about a boy named Ari who doesn't really know his place in the world. He's an angry teenage boy and his brother is in prison and he doesn't really know what to make of that. And then he meets this other boy named Dante and it's about them spending time together, learning about themselves, learning about the world, basically discovering the secrets of the universe, and it's just so beautiful. I love the writing style of this. I thought that the writing really evoked every emotion it was trying to so deeply. I thought that once again, Ari was a real teenage boy with real teenage boy feelings, and usually I don't enjoy reading from teenage boys' perspectives, but he was not a complete dirtbag, so I guess it was okay. And I just loved watching his friendship form with Dante and the way his family interacted with him as well. And like, I just loved reading the whole story. Next, I read Americanah by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This has definitely made me want to read more by Chimamanda. I already knew I wanted to read books by her, but this definitely solidified it. I think this is like her most famous one, and I think for good reason. Obviously, I haven't read the rest of her books, so I can't say if they're better, but this was just so good. This is about two characters who were originally from Nigeria. One character, Ifemelu, ends up moving to America for her education, and another, Obeens, ends up moving to England, and it's about like their relationship with each other, their relationship with the people around them in the new countries that they end up being, their relationship with their home country, the people in their home country, and it just like has a lot going on. This definitely heavily dives into Black culture in America, and it also gives like an immigrant's perspective of Black culture in America, which I have no experience in, so that was something that I was really interested in reading. And the story overall, I enjoyed both characters. Second to last, we have Born a Crime, Stories from a South African Childhood by Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah is the host of The Daily Show on Comedy Central. This book was basically his memoir about things that happened while he was growing up in South Africa, where he was basically born a crime because his mother was Black and his dad was white, and he was born under apartheid in South Africa, where it was illegal for Black people and white people to get together. So his birth was evidence of that happening, so he was a crime. We just hear stories about what he went through growing up as a child, having to hide and pretend that he wasn't related to his dad and things like that, and it's just a bunch of anecdotes that were super interesting. I did not know any of these things about him or really anything about South Africa, so I thought it was a great like learning lesson as well. And it was especially great because I listened to the audiobook, which I also recommend, so it's kind of like Trevor is telling you like stories like while you're just chilling. Really funny, really informative, really like fun to read, and I definitely enjoyed it. And last but not least, we have The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. This is the first book in the Queen of the Tearling trilogy. This was, I think, the best first book in a trilogy I've read since Illuminae, so like this was a great first installment in this trilogy. I have lesser things to say about the rest of it, but I did love the series overall. The story is set in the Tearling, which is a future kingdom, but kind of not in the future. You'll find out if you read it, where the queen doesn't come of age until they are 19 years old. So Kelsey is heir to the throne, and she turns 19, so it's about her ascending to the throne and dealing with all the conflict and things that are going on with the Tearling that she inherited from her mother. It has all these characters who are so interesting to read about. Kelsey is super interesting to read about. The whole idea of the Tearling and like how they came to be is super interesting as well, and it just, the whole story wraps you up. The writing is so well done. There's like tidbits for book lovers, as like that's definitely an important part of the story as well, and it's just such a good read. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just so entertaining, and like, I don't know, I loved it. So those are all the books that I have to talk to you guys about today. Those are my favorite books of 2017. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any opinions about the books that I talked about, be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know what your favorite book was in 2017, or a list of your favorite books. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, because I make more videos where I talk about books. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!